baseball, hot dogs, apple pie, and Father's Day. Why not treat yourself to a Father's Day gift that keeps giving? The second half of the MLB season will sell for $4.99, but if you sign up before this offer expires on Sunday, we'll throw in the 5 weeks leading up to the All-Star break for free. That's only $4.99 for every MLB play from now through the final game of the World Series in November from your favorite WagerTalk and Sports Memo handicapper. This amazing offer expires Sunday at midnight, so just go to your favorite handicappers page at WagerTalk or Sports Memo and lock in all of the MLB action through the World Series for under $3.50 a day.
Happy Father's Day, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Prop It Up. Happy belated Father's Day, everybody. Go grab that special. I'm Andy with WagerTalk.com. Friday starts the weekend, and we are here to make your weekend a profitable one with the props betting market. Joining me, as always, my fellow prop masters, Matt Josephs from SportsMemo.com. A lifelong Warriors fan, Matt Josephs, and don't forget, and Andrew McInnis from WagerTalk.com. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us. Matt, I know you're a lifelong Warriors fan. What did you think of the draft last night? What did you think of what your 76ers did with that? Really NBA-altering trade.
I'm in the process of ordering a D'Anthony Melton jersey right now. I don't know about you guys, but can I just say it's a terrible system in that you could trade a guy who's a torn ACL and is out for most of the year, and he's like a valuable player. Like, it's a valuable asset. I mean, that's just kind of ridiculous. And I'm talking about Danny Green. And then the other ridiculous thing is you can't officially announce all those trades. So, like, David Roddy yesterday had to go up and put on a Sixers hat, even though he knows he's not going to be a Sixer. Like, that's just stupid. And I never understood that about the NBA.
Oh, they do it in the NFL. Eli Manning had to go up there and do the whole thing when he was drafted with the Giants and the Chargers, kind of thing. So it's not just one sport. Did you, Matt? Did you have anything going on with the NBA draft? I stayed away from any props, and I am so glad that I did. I don't know. Based on last night with the line movement and all the weirdness going on, I almost wonder if that's unbettable at this point. I mean, the lines and the draft were crazy. What was your takeaway on that?
Well, first off, I was one of the five states that can't bet on it. Virginia, we are not allowed to bet on things like the draft and MVPs and things like that. So I had nothing on last night. But the Banchero thing is fascinating, to go from what he was to then last night have all that money come in on Banchero, and then Woj yesterday morning basically saying, oh, yeah, he's still going 3, and then have the money get away from him. And then the money came back on him, and then Woj said, oh, yeah, he's probably going number 1. And it's crazy. And it's funny because if you're Orlando, why are you hiding the number 1 pick? If you were planning on taking Banchero all along, why would you hide it? You're the number 1 draft pick. I don't think they were trading anything. I don't think they were going anywhere. So they did a giant snow job on everybody, and yet there was no reason to.
He said snow job. Andrew,
Andrew, coming. Isn't that what it is? Snow job?
Yes, it's a snow job. Everyone loves a good snow job. Andrew, I'm assuming you stayed away from the NBA draft. Did you have any takeaways from it last night?
Well, my takeaway really will be this, and you'll hear a lot of people talking about this, but the odds are going to move. And it's not always going to be correct. And I believe we're going to hear Teddy talk about this today on Wager Talk today. But, of course, you can buy into, certain rumors or a Woj tweet and people putting things out. I'm not going to lie to you, Andy. I had a bet, which ended up being correct, at plus 500 that I was told by a very close friend of mine that covers college basketball very, very closely. He said, cash that out. It's going to be wrong.
Really?
I cashed it out. And I never, ever do that stuff. But I did. And he's like, man, the Woj tweet might have screwed me. And anyway, I just wanted to say that I had to kind of air out that. Just it feels better to tell the entire YouTube world and podcasting world that I did that and made a horrible mistake. But my whole point is, the odds change sometimes mean something and sometimes they don't. Like you're going to see, like the night before the draft, we saw some rapid line movement, and it ended up being like very true for a lot of them. But it's not always going to be the case. And you see that with the NFL draft quite a bit too. Like you're going to see, okay, which quarterback will be second to go. All of a sudden, the odds change because of like one rumor, or this team met with this player one more time, and all of a sudden the lines move drastically. So I just think it's one of those things for people to be careful with, as far as what piece of information you're buying into too much. And for somebody like me last night, well, I maybe bought into information from Adrian Wojnarowski a little bit too much.
I think my biggest takeaway from the draft, when you're looking at drafts and events such as like that, if you see the line moving, it's too late. You know what I mean? Like by the time you get to see it, like the books and everyone behind the scenes already know what's going on, and you don't. And so if you try and, as Steve Merrill would say, catch a falling knife, you've missed it already. So you gotta somehow be out in front of it. And if you're not out in front of it, then it's probably best to just stay away from that. So,
well, I thought I was out in front, Andy, when I had Jabari Smith plus 500 to go third overall. That lasted a couple hours.
Man. What a bet! I know that's a good one. That's a good one. So,
all right, guys, we're gonna get into.
The Raptors pick was good. I'm very happy with my Pacers. I love what they did. And I mean, now you thought you've seen tanking. Wait till you see next year with all these teams trying to tank to get the French guy, Victor. I can't remember his last name. I can't pronounce it, but there's going to be tanking. Like, I mean, this is like when LeBron was coming out, what the Cleveland Cavaliers were doing, where they were, if they could have played with 3 players, they would have done that. So next year, you're going to see some bad teams like throughout some really, really bad lineups. So, okay, we're going to get into some props and what we got going on this weekend. Andrew McInnis, all of his props and plays can be found at WagerTalk.com. CFL is off and running. NHL is wrapping up. Maybe really, really quick. But Andrew's got you covered in hockey. Matt Josephs, nobody better for K-props. And Matt is probably neck deep in college football research, I imagine. Hopefully we're going to be getting into some college football things moving up. And myself, I've got an MLB play of the day. We're on a 22-6 run in MLB. We have been on fire. And we have a 5% auto racing play that is up. Auto racing, we have been over 61% for the entire season. Really happy about that. Really proud. We just keep cashing on those. So, all right, Andrew, I'm going to come to you first. CFL, I feel like everybody was on the right side last night. I know all the CFL handicappers pretty much had the same play. So give me a quick recap of that, because it won easily. It was an underdog that just crushed. So I'm interested to get your take on that. And then, of course, we got to go over some NHL props. So give me a little bit about the CFL, what happened last night, and what you got moving forward, and then we'll talk NHL.
Yeah, Andy, early on in the CFL season, the word overreaction couldn't be used anymore. I mean, we talk about it with the prop market during when we do our NFL shows, talk about it in betting in general. But in the early stages of the CFL season, the word overreaction is just the word to use, because Saskatchewan, the Rough Riders, they were in town from west to east, traveling to Montreal, short week for them. And they just coming off a game where they just, they took down Edmonton quite easily. But Edmonton's the worst team in the league. And I don't even think that they dominated Edmonton that bad. You know how it's like a team plays a bad team and you think that they should have beaten them more? It's like, yeah, this team won, but they didn't really win in convincing fashion enough for me to really be that impressed. And Montreal was coming off a game where they missed an 18-yard chip shot when their own coach iced them with, about a minute to go. So they should have won their last game. They're much better than what they've been proving. They were an 0-2 record. And the number opened at 4.5, went all the way down to 2. And, yeah, it seemed like most people in the CFL betting world that I knew were on the Alouettes there. So, look, I think that these travel spots early, the overreaction spots early in the CFL are a real big deal. And we're still figuring out what each team is like and what each team is going to be like. And there was also some key injuries there for Saskatchewan this week. But yeah, Andy, for a team was plus 4.5 on the opener to be up, I think 17 points at halftime, it was a pretty good feeling. So for me, 30 days right now of CFL action, $99. I know not everybody wants to join me right away with CFL for the entire season, so we've decided to do just a special for 30 days. No coupon code necessary, just $99 on an 8-3 run to start the season off. 4-1 in week 2 and 1-0 start, of course, with last night's winner on Montreal to week 3. And there are props. There are props for CFL. I have found several Canadian books that are doing it. So I just wanted to mention that, and just wanted to talk about, I mean, if you're talking about shopping around, this is the time to shop around. So next week, I'm going to come on, and I'll give out a couple props for the CFL week, especially for all my Canadian viewers here. We'll try and, we'll talk about kind of each position. We'll give us some running back props, quarterback props, maybe a couple defensive props and stuff like that, because there are some props available. They are out there. And if you get the right spots and you get them in at the right time, you can most certainly make some money. And I'll tell you what, Andy, people love betting overs, love betting overs. There's some money to be made with CFL props on the unders. That's for sure.
Ooh, nice.
By the way, congrats to you on your MLB run.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, great stuff in the CFL. I'm a huge fan of some of these sports that are not on everyone's radar. I feel like the lines are much easier to attack. Matt, I'm going to come to you real quick. Andrew, we'll wrap up NHL here towards the end. I'm doing the prop it up bet of the week, and it is in the NHL. So, Matt, I'm going to come to you. I believe you're on a 12-3 run the last 3 days. Nobody does K-props better. The research is incredible. So, yesterday, man, I was off completely on K-props. I was off on Cueto. I was off on Montas. Shout out to the Oakland Athletics for having a no-hitter going into the 8th and then somehow losing the game. It is amazing. Bad teams just always find a way. They really do. But so Matt, talk to us about K-props. How's the last week been? What are you noticing? Anything that's changing or adjusting, and what's your strategy? And congrats on the 12-3 run.
I think a lot of, and this is once again, deciding to do this spreadsheet that I've kind of put together with all the, strikeouts by starters and things like that, righties, lefties, if they've gone over or under. It's just, and I keep talking about it every week, but it's something that for the new viewers, it's contagious in both directions. There are teams out there who strike out a lot, and they do it time and time again. And there are teams who don't strike out a lot, and it seems like time and time again, they just don't do it. Now, the one team that we kind of focused on last week, or at least one of them, was the Cleveland Guardians, and what they were able to do this year, and how 2 weeks ago, all they had were 2.5s and 3.5s, and were still going under. You look at them now, since then, they have actually gone over in 6 of their last 9. And some of it is they've had, once again, some 2.5s and 3.5s, and they've had some bad things. But they went over in every game in Colorado, which I thought was interesting. And then they went to L.A., and they went over in 2 of 3. So that was, expected, because the Dodgers pitchers have a lot of strikeouts. And then they go to Minnesota, and they go over a little bit. So it's really a contagious thing, and it's kind of nice to visually see the unders and the overs and things like that. I also see, and we talked about it a little bit, these pitchers that are coming off the IL, books are still pricing them a little bit like their normal starts, and you really find out from the managers, pitch counts matter. If a guy says they're going to go 60 pitches, they're going to go 60 pitches, and if the books don't know it, which they should, you could take advantage on some unders. And the other thing that kind of continues to be a thing is Jordan Montgomery. Jordan Montgomery is a guy that has, for a lot of the part of the season, he doesn't go deep in games. They usually take him out for the third time through the order. It's only been the last couple starts. He's going 6 or 7 innings, but they've inflated his numbers. And he's a guy who's had some primo situations, and he has not taken advantage of it. Case in point, last time out, Jordan Montgomery, 5.5 strikeouts against the Rays. Not a single left-handed pitcher has had over 5 against the Rays, so it was an easy winner. He did not go over that number. Nestor Cortez twice had 5.5s. He didn't go over that number. So you just got to try and take advantage of some situations here, and some teams who are, prone to striking out a lot, the Dodgers, the A's, things like that, and some teams who aren't prone to striking out as much. By the way, the funny thing is, you would think a free-swinging team like the Orioles would be an over team. They've actually just gone over by 1, 32-31. The Yankees, another free swinging team, they are an under team, 15-26 to the under. as a team against right-handed starting pitchers. So it's not always what the perception is in Major League Baseball.
We're really getting to the time of year where injuries are, you really have to look at it. I freely admit I bet on a team and did not do a good enough job checking the batting lineup and didn't realize a couple of the bigger bats were out. So can you talk a little bit about when can you notice, or what are good ways to notice injuries? How does that affect your handicapping? You talked about pitchers, but I also think the bats, the hitters, it's equally as important to know who's going to be in the lineup, because I got burned by it last week and never again. So can you talk to us about injuries and how you monitor those?
Well, yeah, and it's one of those things where Thursdays and Sundays are when you don't want to make any sort of major plays until the lineups come out, because those are the kind of the getaway days potentially. Like last Sunday, didn't play a thing. I'm actually potentially just going to go forward, take the Sunday off, kind of clear my head a little bit. But that's the day when, lineups are a little bit different and things like that. And of course, following the beat reporters on Twitter is huge, and kind of doing Twitter searches on guys' names and kind of sifting through the garbage and getting to where the beat reporters say, all right, this is what's going to happen with this guy. One of the other kind of bets along those same lines that I like to, that I've played as of late and been doing really well on, are these first 5 team totals. And you can only find those on DraftKings, which more power to them. And it's one of those things that, because I only handicap pretty much starting pitchers, I want nothing to do with bullpens. I very rarely, if ever, make full game plays. You could find some situations. Case in point, the Rockies against left-handed starting pitchers are amazing. Yesterday, they hung a 1.5. They scored like 4 or 5 runs against Braxton Garrett. It was an easy winner. Earlier in that same series, Trevor Rogers went, and it was 1.5 again. Boom. Look, even the Rockies on the road who don't hit as much, you could find these little situations. Also yesterday, the Pirates got a 1.5. They went over easily. The Cubs got a 1.5. They got over easily. So I think if you find the right team and ride them a little bit, the Tigers have been good to me as of late. I think these first 5 team totals that you can only find on DraftKings are the way to go, because you can handicap the starting pitchers, you can handicap the lineup. You can't go past that 5th inning once the bullpen comes into play.
Great stuff from Matt Josephs. All of his plays are on sportsmemo.com, coming off of a 12-3 run, looking to extend that over the weekend. All right, Andrew, we got to talk NHL. The deflating loss, certainly for Tampa in overtime, 3-2. You've got some props in this. Obviously, I look over a bunch of props. I got to say, I lost Kucherov over 2.5 shots. They give him credit for 3, and then 5 minutes later, they just take away a shot. And then he goes the rest of the game, which is like an overtime, the third period, and 8 minutes of the second period with not getting 1 shot. It was one of the more frustrating losses.
Shocking.
But how do you? I was like, they took one away. He's going to get another one. Mm-hmm. No, and it's like overtime. Surely no. Meanwhile, Victor Hedman is out there like a shooting gallery. Never seen that guy have more than 3 or 4 shots in a game. Let's talk about some of the props and what you've seen in this series and how we think. I mean, first off, do we think we're only going to get one more game of these props? And if so, what do you expect?
Well, yeah, so that was kind of what was too bad. I had a 5% on Colorado in the last game in an exciting fashion. I was happy to cash it. But then after the game was over, I was like, damn, that's potentially one less game we're going to have to make money betting on these props and betting on the NHL playoffs and having a puck time show, which I really enjoyed doing all of those things. So it's going to be very difficult. But before I had a couple props I wanted to mention, and the prop that you're going to mention at the end of the show, Andy, I love as well for tonight. It is elimination time. It's an elimination game. So it's back to what I've mentioned before on this show. Which period will be the highest scoring period? Ding, 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 ding. Third period. Once again, I'm taking that. As far as the period totals, today it's not first period for me. It's third period over 1.5 goals. Most books, I'm going to shut out DraftKings just like Matt did. They always have these up pretty early. A lot of books do as well. You can get the third period over, or if your book doesn't offer that, you can bet which period will be the highest scoring period. In these elimination games, you can bet those, and I, pretty much can guarantee there will be an empty net goal, or there will be a lot of action in that third period. Back in the day, and this is coming from a pretty young guy saying that expression, these elimination games used to be low scoring. used to be real tight. Not anymore. They start very quiet and then they start to pick up. So just some key props I've talked about for a little while now about those. But yeah, Andy, here's some props I'm looking at here for this game. As far as a goal scoring prop, I'm looking at Gabriel Landeskog, captain for the Colorado Avalanche, a guy that's had a great playoffs, a guy that's had some clutch goals for his team here. He has 11 goals in 10 games, but I think 3 or 4 of those have come in this series and have just come in crunch time and in big games. So looking for him to get a goal, and it's at a really, really good price there. Cale Makar, looking at him to get an assist. This is a guy that is just, it's unbelievable how he is and how smooth he is on his edges, the way he moves around that blue line. He looks like a forward out there, but he plays the defensive position. And it might be a little bit out of people's price range. I mean, it's getting there at minus 145-ish. It's going to continue to climb up there. But, his point prop is around minus 220, 225. So you're getting that down quite a bit by just narrowing in on him, not to get a goal, but just more specifically, just to get an assist there. And shots on goal, Andy. I'm going with a guy that just had 1 shot on goal. Talk about Kucherov coming up short. How about Steven Stamkos coming up short with 1 shot on goal last game?
Awful.
The game goes to overtime. Stamkos, the captain of the team, with 1 shot on goal. I'm taking over 3.5 shots on goal at plus 135. I think that, we saw him with 5 shots in one game, follows that up with 1 again. If they're going to have any sort of success in this game, and especially if it's going to be a higher scoring game like I do expect, we're going to see him get some shots and get on the board potentially. So over 3.5 shots. So to recap, Landeskog to score a goal, Cale Makar to get an assist, and taking a look at the shots on goal prop for Steven Stamkos.
Yeah, I like that. That Landeskog play is really good. He had 7 shots that either missed or were blocked. So he only got credited for 2 shots on goal, but he was involved in the shots. And Stamkos 4 blocked shots. So he gets credited with 1. It's like, maybe shoot at the goal, Steve. Not
crazy.
At the defender.
It's crazy how many block shots there are, Andy? It's unbelievable.
I know. It really is. I mean, you're looking at the saves. I mean, Kemper, I got to say, you did a great job talking to me about how Tampa Bay was a little bit tentative at the beginning of the series, and we're looking for the quality of shot as opposed to a lot. So we cashed Kemper under his saves a couple times, and then, last game, he 39 shots and 37. So it was they definitely upped the volume of shots in the last one. So I definitely like that one. You can grab all of Andrew's NHL plays at WagerTalk.com. All right, that's going to lead us to this week's Prop It Up Bet of the Week, and you have definitely heard this prop many, many times. I've talked about it. Andrew's talked about it. It's now Carmine's favorite play. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Let's just go right back to Nathan McKinnon. Over 4.5 shots on goal. It's a little bit juicy. It doesn't matter, though. This guy's coming off of 8 shots on goal. If you took this one last game, it cashed in the second period easily. He also had 3 block shots and 1 miss. So potentially he almost had 12 shots on goal. So we just look at his game log. He's coming off of 8 shots, 6 shots. He had 3 in the blowout, but then 5, 7, 5, and 11. This is a guy with the upside of double-digit shots on goal. There's not many guys in the NHL that can do that. So this is one of those props that you just keep playing night in and night out. It keeps cashing. Closeout game, Andrew had mentioned it, that it's going to be frenetic. It's going to be very, very intense. The stars should shine. And McKinnon is certainly a star. So I'm going to play Nathan McKinnon over 4.5 shots. Sometimes you don't need to do a lot of research to find some of these plays. It's just ride the streaks. So the books are keeping it at 4.5. I'm sure they don't want to put out a 5.5. So yeah, let's cash on Nathan McKinnon. So gentlemen, great job as always. Andrew's picks are on WagerTalk.com. CFL, check him out. Also got a really nice deal on 30 days for that. Matt Josephs on a 12-3 run in the last 3 days. Nobody better with K props than Matt. And myself got a 5% auto racing play that is up. MLB play of the day is up on a 22 and 6 runs. So all three of us are running good. Prop It Up guys are having it's good. It's a good time to be on the Prop It Up show, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, Matt Joseph, sportsmemo.com, myself and Andrew, WagerTalk.com. Let's have a great weekend. Let's make it a profitable one. And we will see you next week on Prop It Up.
The 2022 NFL season kicks off on Thursday, August 11th, with the New England Patriots hosting the New York Giants. And while some say they won't bet the preseason, many NFL handicapping experts say there's more value betting the preseason than any other sport. The NFL preseason is $249, but you can save $100 by purchasing this package by kickoff of the Hall of Fame game on August 11th. The entire NFL preseason for just $149? Yes, football is back. This offer expires when the Patriots and Giants kick off, and your access begins the moment you sign up, so you will get any early releases the moment they are loaded.